What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you an update to White Forest. Now this update does involve the Azamina version as well, so it's a nice little additional engine that can set you up protection and an Omni Negate, as well as then being able to give you more spells that could be sent and reset off of the back of your White Forest monsters. This is also an update involving the Horus package, which you can cut out completely, which will become more hand traps. The idea behind this deck is I've tried to go as aggressive as possible, and just being able to utilize loads of different versions that can give me stronger synchro monsters, more versatile synchro monsters, and then just out and out more boss monsters that can help me balance between the fusions, the links, and everything else in between. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So starting off with the White Forest monsters, pretty standard on the lineup of this one. So you're going to be going for triple Estella, which is your main starter of the deck, followed up by triple LZ, also another main starter of the deck, alongside double Sylvie, and then the one extender is the one Yugioh. Now the idea is you could play 3 Sylvie if you wanted to. It does act as another starter, but it needs to be a starter with something more in order to get you going. And what I mean by that is this one on normal special lets you add a White Forest spell or trap, which is absolutely fine, but then more times than not what you're going to want to go for is you're going to want to search out your White Forest Tails, and this would then search you into something like an LZ because you've already used up your normal summon, and then you need another spell or trap that can be sent in order to get the LZ to the board. What makes this deck so good when you do utilize it with, of course, the Azamina engine is the Azamina gives you those spells and traps that can be sent as and when you need it, but also it allows you to minimize the Toy Box engine, and the Toy Box engine has great synergy with the Diabellstar Witch, because if you were able to set the tank or ideally the soldier and then send it off of the witch, you're then able to trigger the soldier to get you the Toy Box, and of course you can trigger the witch to leave that monster on the board as a level 7 for synchro fodder. Speaking of the Toy Box engine, we are playing triple Toy Box with 1 soldier and 1 tank. Now obviously the idea or the reason that we've cut soldier down is just because you don't need to be relying on it so heavily. Yes, it is great when comboed off with something else, but on its own it's not going to do a lot, whereas Toy Box just gets you so much more advantage on its own, and you don't need to rely on this engine as heavily because we are playing other engines in this deck that will just help you get a little bit more gas, a bit more discard fodder, and everything else that you need in between. I've kind of jumped the spells and traps to the White Forest. We're going to go back to those now. So we're playing the 1 Tails to search you out as long as you control an illusion or a spellcaster. We've got the 1 of the brand new Scourge of the White Forest. So this is a really nice kind of quick play that lets you tribute a synchro monster to then target a face-up card on the field and then negate its effects until the end of this turn. Then if you tributed a White Forest synchro to activate this effect, you get to special an illusion monster from your graveyard. The benefit of the back of this one is that your illusion monsters are also your Azamina monsters, which then gives you the ability to bring back some of your stuff like your Sylvie for the Omni Negate as well. So this can just give you more forms of interruption should you need it, while also putting a White Forest synchro in the graveyard that could then be shuffled back to bring back something like your Yugioh or of course your Sylvie. Then of course we do play the 1 Woes to synchro summon during our opponent's turn. Now the Scourge has the exact same effect as the rest of the White Forest cards. If it's sent to the graveyard to activate a monster effect, you get to set it. Obviously the biggest downside of it being a quick play is it means that effect to send and then reset means that it's locked for the turn, but the idea is you're going to want to do that during your turn, reset it, and then you're good to go for your opponent's turn. Then for the Horus package, which is a little bit more cheaper now thanks to the most recent print in the Megatins, we are playing triple Insetti. We've got the 1 Blessing. You can cut this out completely if you want to and you just go play the 1 Happy. But I quite like the idea of having an additional 1 on the board just as another layer of aggression, and it gives you another Horus monster you can bring back from the graveyard as level 8 synchro fodder. And then of course we've got the 2 King Sark, which can be sent if you want to, because you can also remember that your Diabell Queen lets you reset, so that'll allow you to reset the King Sark if you do send it. Moving on to the Azamina engine. For the Azamina engine, triple Diabellstar. As I said in my previous profiles, still currently waiting on my Black Witches. Hopefully they'll turn up soon. Triple Wanted Sinful Spoils, double Deception, 1 Debitors, and 1 Hollowed. Now the benefit of all of these is these are normal spells that could be sent once you've already got the use out of them. You can play the combo that utilizes the level 8 Azamina in the extra deck, but the idea is behind that combo is that if you open up a Deception, you work your way from a Deception into that card searches you out Wanted, and then you activate the Wanted to get you into your Queen, and your Diabellstar, and then you work your way back around in order to get you to the Omni Negate. It's another way to help you get there, but I feel that it was mainly just to get Wanted into rotation and Diabell into rotation, whereas to be honest, I'd rather just cut the middleman out and not go for that level 8 and just go straight for the Hollowed. Yes, because it does give you the draw off the back of the Wanted, but I honestly don't think it's as necessary to do. Entirely up to you if you do decide to play it that way, completely up to you. So for those of you unfamiliar with this engine, again, I'm just going to repeat it on all of the first profiles that I do involving this engine in case you are new to it. The idea is you want to activate Wanted Seeker or Sinful Spoils, search out your queen, your witch. You then special summon down the witch, send in any card that you have. This would then allow you to set the deception directly from the deck. You activate the deception, send in the queen from deck to grave in order to search you out of the hollowed Azamina or of course the Azamina Debitors. Debitors is basically a quick play that can be used during the main phase, and that's mainly going to be used to get your aggressor disruptor in the form of the soul, whereas the hollowed Azamina is going to get you into the Sylvia, which is of course going to be your Omni Negate. So what you've done is you've then ended up clearing off the board. All you have is Deception, you searched out your Hollowed, or you searched out the Debitor. You then get to activate the Hollowed. This will then allow you to Fusion Summon, and it requires you to go... So you reveal an Azamina Fusion monster in your extra deck, and for every 4 levels it has rounded down. So technically it's always only ever going to be 1 at this exact moment in time, because all of the fusions we play are level 6s. You then are allowed to send 1 from the field or hand of the Sinful Spoils to the grave. So you send the Deception that's already face up as it is a continuous spell, and this then gives you the Sylvie, which has the ability that when your opponent activates a card or effect, you contribute it to negate the effect. So great bit of protection there. Protect you from stuff like Nibiru's, board breakers, you name it. We're still also playing Dragoon because I still really like that engine in this deck, just to give you another option. And then for like hand traps, that's board breakers / just backup, I've gone with triple droplets and triple imperm. I've always found that with this particular deck, I have no issue really sending these, because this is just going to give me more advantage than hard opening up something like an Ash Blossom, because it doesn't really give me that much advantage. If I open up like an Ash Blossom plus one of my White Forests, I'd much rather see an imperm plus one of my White Forests and be able to send it in order to kind of get their combo plays going off. And then with the Horus cards, I'm adding more draw power to the deck, and I'm adding more aggression to the deck as well. As we already talked about the Azaminas, I'll put them both out first. So obviously the Sylvie is the Omni Negate, the Soul is your aggressor, because if it is Fusion Summoned, you get to target a card on the field and send it to the graveyard. And then during your standby phase, you get to add an Azamina spell from the graveyard, a Sinful Spoils or an Azamina card from the graveyard to the hand. So while having this on the board, you then basically just get to recycle it, activate it, set up your Sylvie as your first play of the next turn, and then that gives you the ability of having an Omni Negate so you can build your board again. If they broke it, that is. And then, of course, we do play the 1 Albion and the 1 Dragoon, and both of these will work their way off of the back of the Muddy Mud Dragon. So the idea is you summon out the Muddy Mud Dragon, and as long as you have this plus a light monster, this treats itself as Albaz to fuse into the Albion. The Albion will then banish the dragon in the form of the Muddy Mud Dragon. It will banish itself in the form of the dragon, and then it will banish the Muddy Mud Dragon in the form of the Dark Magician in order to make your Dragoon, which just gives you an insanely powerful boss monster that basically says no. And then for the synchros, so this is what I really like about the Horus engine, is it allows me to play these synchros here. You don't have to, you can play Cosmic Blazar Dragon, and you can also play Crimson Dragon if you want to. I just quite like these. I think these are really kind of funny level 12s that no one really expects more times than not. But the idea behind these is you can play all 3 of these, because it basically just requires you to have a Horus monster plus your Sylvie in order to get to any of these. And that's just what makes it so good, is that they all have different kind of effects and abilities that are going to give you more advantage. So the Lagita gives you the ability to draw. This one's going to allow you, your monsters with 2,000 or less attack can't be destroyed by battle, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If it's special summoned, you draw a card, and then you get to destroy the monster your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice if tied. And then during the end phase, you get to place a non-synchro Centurion monster from your hand or graveyard into the spell and trap zone as a face-up continuous trap. Now, obviously, you're playing more Centurions, of course, that'll become a little bit more effective for you. The Super Heavy Samurai is just a 4k boss monster because it gets to attack and defense, which I thought was really kind of cool. And then the Lulu Wallace gives you that ability that if a card leaves the extra deck, except during damage state, you make all monsters you control gain 500 attack, and it's permanent. You can then negate the effects of one face-up card on the field until the end of this turn. And then during the end phase, if it's in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you get special summon a light spellcaster from the hand or deck whose attack equals his own defense. So you can very easily cut these out. I've got no issues if you wanted to go down the Crimson Dragon route. You'd ideally only cut out 2. You'd go Crimson Dragon, and you'd go with something like your Blazar Dragon, and then the idea is you'll still have that target to spin back in order to get you another level 12 to the board. You need to make sure you get the right types on the board in order to do so, but that's just an option for you if you wanted to go down that route. This is completely flexible. This is just like an option that I quite like playing with, just because I like the Horus engine, I like the aggression it gives, and it basically just lets me put a couple of engines together with a White Forest deck that I really do enjoy, and the synchro element. We've then got, of course, the 1 Zapper Shrimp, followed up by the 1 Chaos Angel. So this is obviously a little bit easier to make as well with the Horus cards, because straight away an Imseti, which is the Dark, plus a Estella or an Elzette is your level 2 lights, which can then get you into a Chaos Angel with both its effects intact, which I quite like. And then for the White Forest cards, pretty standard on this one. You got your 1 Sylvia, you got your 1 Recelia, and of course you got the 1 Diabel Queen. So all you need is one of these, you recycle them like no tomorrow. And then for the rank 8s, I'm still playing the Zombie Vampire, just because you get 2 Horus monsters, being able to go into that and then use the effect to detach the mill cards can then lead you into a link play if you wanted to go down that route, or it just puts Vampire on the board that lets you look at your opponent, what they're playing, can revive one of their cards if you need to, and it just lets you go a little bit further. You can play Steeler Hat Rabbit, you can also play SP Little Knight. I just wanted to show you a couple of different options that you might not have seen in every particular type of deck, just kind of work around with. And of course we've got the one Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. You don't really need this with the Azaminas, but the benefit of being able to make Azaminas plus this and then just go full White Forest combo is it means you have more ways to protect your White Forest combos when they're trying to work during your opponent's turn and when you're trying to build up and you haven't even conducted a normal summon. Because remember, the Azaminas are like a 1.5 card combo, get you into an Omni Negate. The Horus cards is a 2 card combo that can work you into your Galaxy Eyes, which can also be that 1.5 and replaces itself. And then on top of that, all you need is 1 White Forest monster after you've done all of that, and you just go absolutely ham to work your way into the White Forest engine as well. So you're basically setting yourself up with a Monster Negate in the form of the Galaxy Photon Lord, you're setting yourself up with an Omni Negate in the form of the Sylvia, and then through the White Forest combo you can work your way into a Dragoon, you can also work your way into the Diabell Queen, which is going to give you the way to Synchro during your opponent's turn, which can work its way into a Chaos Angel for a banish, or it can work its way into the Zapper Shrimp, and if you wanted to spice it up you can also go back to the Goatee level 12, which banishes the entire board. So you've got loads of different options you can work around with. It really is up to you, and that's what I love about the White Forest deck, which is why I ended up technically getting rid of my original Tempai deck for White Forest, because it just has a bit more versatility. You can play it with Centurions, you can play it with Azaminas, you can play it pure, you can play it with Toy Box, you can play it with Horus, which I've done before. Like, I just really like the deck. I love Synchro mechanic in general. I think it's a really, really fun mechanic, and I think it makes you work a lot more and just open up a lot of creative options when you start doing the maths of, okay, well, this level plus this level, and then when you're able to utilize different engines in the form, of course, of the Horus cards and everything else in between, I think it really just gives you a little bit more to play around with. And I do like aggressive all-out gas decks right now, because I can't be bothered to be sitting there and going, right, well, can this hand play through one hand trap? And I don't want my opponent to go one hand trap and I go, yeah, cool, I guess I've got a pass. Not saying it doesn't happen with this deck, but what I like the idea of is being able to switch up directions, make my opponent keep guessing, make my opponent go, oh, they're on White Forest, I'll just flip D-Barrel and call Synchro, and I go, okay, cool. Go down Azamina route, fusion plays, go down the Horus route, just go into the XYZ plays. Or if they go, okay, well, I'm going to draw a Fluoros on you. I'm like, okay, so every time I summon from the deck, you're going to draw a card. Well, you know what? We're going second, so I'm just going to go all out, and I'm going to go, let's go with Horus card, Horus card, Horus card, end my board on 3 Horus monsters and the King Sark, hold back some of my resources, or maybe give you 1 draw to make a Synchro play, sit there and go, okay, cool, come at me, bro. And I've got my Horus cards that if you forget their secondary effects, will really try to punish you, because Happy will help me recycle. The the Blessing will give me a form of interruption, and so will the Imseti as well. So I just like that idea of being able to switch up and keep my opponent guessing, which is really kind of cool. And worst case scenario, if they catch on to one of these particular engines apart from the White Forest, you go, all right, well, I'll sub that out and put in a different engine, and then that's when you can kind of start cooking as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.